All right, Chelsea fans, welcome back. That's right, to another episode of the London is Blue podcast. International break is almost over for Chelsea, playing on Sunday against Bournemouth. We're recording this on Thursday evening, September 14th. And Nick, no Brandon, because he's taking a nice walk. He's enjoying life. He's getting out there. And we're the sadists who are saying we should talk about Chelsea this evening instead of doing something else fun with the time that we have.
Yeah, it's back. We're back from an international break. There's only, I think, 7 or 8 more of these this season to come. So, get used to it. We're going to enjoy the international breaks back in our lives for reasons passing understanding, but that's okay. It's good to have Chelsea back this weekend. I'll say that because there is nothing worse than pointless European or pointless CONCACAF football on our screens during an international break. So excited for the boys to be back, and we're edging closer to the start of the women's season too. So hopefully we get on a decent stretch of Chelsea football in our lives.
Well, before we talk about that, we're going to get into a couple of things. We're talking about how some of the Blues performed while they were on international duty. We're also going to get into the Bournemouth match, talking about some predicted lineups and also going through what the narratives are heading into the match for Pochettino and team and for Bournemouth as well. But Nick, 2 things of note. One, Chelsea dropped their 3rd kit. And as we all know, you are the aficionado of the pod when it comes to all things style. So I want to get your opinion on that in just a moment. And then we still have not had confirmation or finalization of the Infinite Athlete deal. So it seems like these kits are still shipping without any type of sponsor on the front multiple weeks into the season. So that is also a nice perk for people who are looking to potentially get a bit of a collector's item. So should they be getting the 3rd kit as a collector's item is the question.
It's really interesting. I mean, I think the kit itself looks fine. It's called Eton Blue, and it's, as you've heard on the famous CFC before, Rick Glanville and Gary Barone have both mentioned how Chelsea's royal blue is not the color that we started out playing in 1905 into 1907. It was this kind of lighter, more turquoisey or minty looking blue, that really rides the line between blue and green. I mean, it is you could be forgiven if you're looking at this shirt and why did they get a mint green shirt? I think it's a decent enough looking shirt. It's pretty plain. It has some like black trim around the neckline and I think down the sides or whatever and on the sleeves. It really depends on your skin tone. I think whether you can rock this shirt or not. I think. For example, I'm not particularly fond of it for me, but I think for some people, it will look good. I myself opted for the away shirt, which is that black and blue kind of 90s vibe shirt they put out a couple weeks ago. And I know many, many, many people are fond of the home shirt, although I hate the freaking neckline on that shirt. It just bothers me. What Nike's done on that weird panel that they have on the front. But I think I believe the black shirt is the best looking one of the bunch, followed by the home kit, and the 3rd kit would be 3rd. What about you?
I think the goalkeeper kit is actually a sneaky good kit this year too, in terms of the total collection that we have. When Chelsea posted the information about the Eton Blue kit that Chelsea will be donning as a 3rd kit, I wonder, with no European football, how many times we'll actually see that kit worn during a match. I'm going to guess it's sub 3 would be my...
Wearing it against Bournemouth, apparently. Like that's...
Okay.
Yeah, so...
I'm still in the we're not going to see this more than like if we see it more than 3 times, like we have done Nike a service in trying to get these kits sold. The post though from Chelsea was that the color actually prominent on this season's shirts, shorts, and socks is named mint foam, providing a contrasting canvas for black trim and a wolf gray pattern, adding a touch of modernity to a timeless classic. A vision stemmed from our past. I think it's fine. I think it's a fine kit. I think that the home kit is the one that will be classic, that people will look back on 10, 15 years from now and wish that they had gotten that kit. I do think the one that probably looks the best on most average people, like myself or you, is probably the away kit in just terms of a general darker tone. But again, we are not a fashion podcast. We're just offering up some opinions. Let us know in the comments on YouTube, if you're watching there, what your thoughts are on all the kits. Which one are you getting?
Dan, who did you get on your shirt this year?
Enzo. Had to be Enzo.
Enzo. Okay.
So easy. So easy.
Man. Okay. I went with Millie Bright, continuing my streak of the last 3 years of getting a women's player on my shirt, because I frankly don't know which men's players are yet going to be my favorite, as I've said many, many times on this show. So I went with old reliable and Millie Bright.
Well, that is a good one to go after as well. And, speaking of good things to do, leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Great way to support the podcast, helps people find the show. You can also follow us and subscribe on YouTube. Hit the notify button, get notified when we have new videos drop. Getting closer and closer to 29,000 subscribers there. We'd love to hit 30,000. You can help us do that. That'd be great. And you also can support us, patreon.com/London Blue Pod. Join our wonderful Discord community. They've been having fun with all other things not related to Chelsea during this international break. A lot of chatter about the NFL and college football. And Nick, we'll just not talk about those two things. We'll just bypass.
No need.
Bypass that fully.
Nope. All good on that front. Thanks for asking.
No problem. We'll take our first quick ad break, get it out of the way, and then we'll get right into how all of Chelsea's international stars performed during this break. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
With the busy fall season already in swing, you might be looking for wholesome, convenient meals for jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit, can help you fuel up fast with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, eat well, and stay on track with your healthy lifestyle. Look, I just moved, right? And we got a conveniently timed box of Factor meals to the house. My wife and I loved having these not frozen, quick to microwave. We actually threw them in the toaster oven, the air fryer, and they heated up really quick, and they were delicious. I'm telling you, if you're moving or if you're busy, having 8, 9, 10, 12 meals in your fridge was perfect. It was the ultimate convenience. They tasted well. You had your main entree with the protein, veggies on the side. You were good to go. Make sure you go check it out. Honestly, life is too busy to not have a healthy meal in your fridge ready to go. And again, like I said, they are fresh. They are not frozen. They come in a refrigerated pack. They were great. And you can also, not only this, start to add some breakfast in there. They've got bacon and egg breakfast skillet, bacon and cheddar, egg bites, potato, all of this good stuff. Like I said, it's going to energize you throughout the day with clean, healthy energy. So anyways, this September, get Factor, start enjoying it. Use our code. Go to factormeals.com/LondonIsBlue50 and use code LondonIsBlue50 to get 50% off. That's no joke. Right now, use the code LondonIsBlue50 at factormeals.com/LondonIsBlue50 to get 50% off. What are you waiting for?
All right, Nick. So no surprise, Chelsea attracts international stars. International stars go out for international duty, and they do things. They get a job done. So we have a bunch of players who had a chance to get into maybe better fitness, find themselves a goal if they have been lacking a goal, an assist if they've been lacking an assist, showing that they can do it. It's just maybe a matter of getting all the parts and pieces to work together at Chelsea at the moment. But in their, from the club to their national teams, they were able to maybe start a bit of a spark that they can bring back to Chelsea in the weeks ahead. But maybe let's start off with Enzo, who we mentioned previously. Goal for Enzo. He's looking. He just wants to score now. It's fantastic.
Yeah, let's hope he takes the scoring form that he has with Argentina and moves it on over to Chelsea. He's been a little lackluster in that department for us, missing some key chances at the start of the season, and I think the goal that he did get was a little bit of a lucky draw for him, but they all count the same. So let's hope that that he's able to do that and hit him in the top corner for the Blues. But yeah, pretty interesting goal. It was like off of a lot of like interchange play. He ended up scoring it like he was a striker, near the goal. It was a nice little kind of tap in near post. So very interesting.
Yeah, good cross from Di Maria. So they won that game 3-0 against Bolivia. So they're getting all their qualifying action underway. Keeping it in South America, we'll go to Ecuador. And I think there were some really interesting things that happened for the Ecuadorian players that Chelsea have. And not just Moises Caicedo, but Kendry as well, who had his rise is incredible. I think the funniest thing to me was that someone, a Liverpool fan, during the break was indicating that before Brighton go snap up this player, we need to go sign them now. We need to go get them because they're going to be a superstar, not knowing that Chelsea had actually already signed Kendry, and he's going to be joining us in 2 years when he turns 18.
Credit to that guy for leaving his tweet up so we could all troll it all week. That was, you know what, respect. When you're that wrong, just own it. That was pretty cool. Boy, I mean, I don't typically watch, let's call it common bowl, action that often, but we have a reason to now because Caicedo and Kendry together on the Ecuador national team, who, again, were good in this past World Cup as well. Kendry's a player, man, and the pod that you guys did before, I think it was mid-August with Jess and Nath, just a incredible young talent that has a ton of room to get better and is already playing at the age of 16 with the national team. That's a massive deal for him. And the fact that he's assisting, the fact that many people thought he ran the midfield in a lot of different ways was fantastic. So, man, again, I know some of these young signings from, seemingly out of nowhere, there are a lot of us who are like, hey, but we need a striker right now. I think in a few years, we're going to be very, very happy that there was some forethought put into Kendry Paez.
Yeah, the thing that I really liked, having not watched a ton of him so far, was just his tight ball control. Some of the moves he had, particularly at the touchline to work his way around defenders, really, really excellent to watch. So I think that was something that, for someone who had only watched, I would say, maybe 5 to 10 combined minutes of him playing so far, this was a good education on what he can bring and where his trajectory is going. Again, he's setting records left and right. He's now the youngest debutant for the Ecuadorian men's first team. He's, the youngest leading scorer in the national leagues. All these things that are just piling on. Another great thing about the player. What I did like, though, is Moises Caicedo getting back to full fitness. Because I think we felt like with his desire to get the move, with the situation, the prolonged negotiation, getting him to Chelsea, he really didn't have the same fitness regimen, the same opportunity to get up to speed and get in condition for this season. I think we maybe even said that he was 80% of where he should be. This looks like he is back to fitness, and I think Pochettino is going to be very happy when he comes back because he looked every bit the part of someone who is ready to get back into full form now after this international break.
100%, yeah, and sometimes I think we've been a little tainted perhaps in the past with the French national team because they've always called in players and they've somehow come home worse for wear than they went. But sometimes going back to your national team, as Mudryk has shown before, is a good thing, right? It helps you kind of advance a little bit and get the good feelings back and play with people that you have known for some time. And so, hopefully, again, it's an all positive international break for our guys, and they come back ready to hit the ground running because we have a big couple of months coming up, and Caicedo is integral. Right. I mean, especially in the midfield, especially when we're still having midfield injury issues in the form of Lavia, which we talked about with Naz on Monday. So, this is a good thing for me. And again, he's probably still a few weeks away from being full fitness, just based on what we witnessed in the States for preseason and how hard those guys were being worked from a fitness perspective. But he's also a young, talented guy. I don't think it's going to take him years to catch up. This is not Fat Hazard from back in the day, who Antonio Conte needed to train for an entire offseason to get into his Player of the Year winning mode.
Oh, abs are made in the kitchen, so we'll see what Pochettino is assigning to the team in terms of the diet.
Let him cook, Dan. Let him cook.
Well, speaking of players maybe didn't get the same type of outing, our trio that were in the England senior team, you had Gallagher, Chilwell, and Colwell all getting an opportunity. They did play against Scotland this past weekend or past couple days, and Gallagher did get an opportunity to make his 9th appearance, but Chilwell and Colwell went as unused substitutes. And you know what? I'm kind of okay with that, given the fact that there's been knocks to our defenders or defender/winger, depending upon how you want to call it, our 2 left backs there. I don't know. Whatever you want to define them as in terms of what position they are to you, better that maybe they got some rest, and good for Gallagher to get closer and closer to hit a 10 number or a double-digit number for caps for England.
Is it fucking weird that Southgate still prefers Harry Maguire over someone like Levi Colwell? Sure. Is it an absolute circus at the English national team right now? Yep, sure is. Will it be that way for a minute? Of course it will be. I am with you. Like, come back healthy. That's all I care about at this point. We have a lot of season to play, and those 2 in particular, with Gallagher as the third, are critical. They've played every single match so far, right? So they're critical to our success, and yeah, I mean, again, the English national team is a circus right now. Like, there is so much going on there between Henderson and Maguire and Southgate and all the news and stories and stuff like that. And Southgate's just not ever really played Chilwell in a string of matches, which is very, very odd. I think maybe it was like 2018 or 19 was the last time he got like a real run out.
He's also had injury situations over the past couple of years too. So I do think that factors into it. I mean, but now you have Shaw, who's out as well, in addition to Chilwell being available. Maybe he thinks Chilwell's a winger. I mean, look, that could be the consensus at the moment. So stay tuned to see what Gareth Southgate says next about Chelsea's players when it comes to the next international break in October. Not that far away. Harder matches to watch, but there were U21 matches as well for England. Yeah, Madueke and Palmer both getting an opportunity to go out and get involved as well. Cole Palmer with a goal and assist. So just after the switch from City to Chelsea, goes out, gets a little bit of a sub appearance, and then also gets an opportunity to impress on international duty. And then Madueke had a goal as well. So, just an opportunity, or he might have had an assist. It was an assist. So, the benefit being that these 2 young attackers getting opportunities to prime the engine as it relates to getting back into Chelsea's first team over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, they've played well together at national team level, along with Colwell and that kind of under 21 team previously before he got the major call up, right? You would assume at some point, and I don't know if it'll be this Euro cycle, but maybe in the next cycle after the Euros, that Madueke and Palmer will get that sort of call up as well. In the meantime, getting the goal scoring boots and the assisting boots on for Chelsea is a priority, right? We know that is a critical improvement area for the team, and without a ton of goal production coming from the wing so far this year, as Sterling's kind of played more advanced than Jackson, those guys could be critical pieces, whether it's Palmer playing a 10 and Madueke playing right wing, or some combination where Sterling ends up on the left, or whatever the case might be. So, I'm happy for both these guys and anyone who can do well in international play while not getting themselves injured.
Well, speaking of the French national team, you mentioned earlier, we did see Gusto and Leslie Ogochukwu getting an opportunity to play for France's under-21s. I didn't see much in terms of Leslie's contributions, but Gusto did register an assist against Slovenia, so positive things there. We do see him, particularly with the Reece James injury, like his underlying stats have been extremely strong, and I think people have generally been impressed by his performances over the last couple of matches, deputizing for Reece James while he's out injured, and this just seems to be a continuation of that. So again, hopefully bringing it back, can assist more, can contribute in the attack when we get back against Bournemouth this weekend.
Yep. I mean, Reece James is not officially fit, and probably, I think, according to Naz, they're going to take their time with him, which is the absolute right call. So, guess what, Mallow? You're in the game.
And then we also saw maybe just some more muted performances. So Nico Jackson didn't get on the score sheet in the 1-0 loss to Algeria, and then Mykhailo Mudryk did get about 60 minutes in the 2-1 loss to Italy, did not register a goal or assist there as well. I think Mudryk got a lot of criticism, I think, online for his performance, but he just looks like he's still needing to find that confidence, needing to get back into a position to be, the guy he believes himself to be, and you hope that can happen over the weeks and months ahead so that he can get on with the football that he wants to play. And Nico, you would have loved a goal for him as well, just to get him into good situation, particularly after the miss that he had, that it would be good to kind of put him in right form there. But hey, just score against Bournemouth instead, score against Bournemouth.
We need streaky the other direction. Is what we need. Yeah, Mudryk's taken a lot of abuse over this start of the season, but particularly this international window. Again, something we've talked to Naz about, but let's just hope that he has smart people around him that are going to kind of help him take care of his mental health as well as physical health, because I know he pulled up with a little bit of it looks like a calf injury, I think, at one point. So let's hope that the young man's kind of getting the support he needs at this point. It's obviously a lot on his shoulders, not only from a price tag standpoint, but from a kind of nationality standpoint right now, as his country's in the middle of a war. I think we forget that at times, for him, that there's a lot going on in the homeland right now. So, just wanted to kind of call that out because, look, I think it's fair to, have some constructive criticism over what he could do better. But there were apparently the English quote unquote Chelsea fans who were shouting all sorts of nonsense at him during this international break. And it's really, really fucking bad form to do that. So, yeah, disappointing to say the least.
Well, again, it's important to make sure that we can separate the performance from the person and challenge the performance and comment on it with the merits that we have, whether for or against the performance, and then make sure that we consider the person as well. But that's going to do it for our little bit of international review. That's kind of the tapas for this episode. We're going to take our last ad break, and then we're going to get back and talk about Bournemouth, the match ahead for Chelsea this weekend on Sunday. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, Nick. It's Jason Bournemouth up next this Sunday.
Boo this man.
I mean, in prior seasons, though, we would be that character watching the video, seeing Bournemouth coming, and be like, oh, shit, we're in trouble.
My God. That's Jason Bourne. I mean, the fact that we beat them last year at their place was astonishing, as it was the last win that we had in that season. That secured our safety, baby, in the Premier League. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, this is not, the 18th place team that I think we're used to kind of seeing in the league. I mean, they're better than that. I think they only finished one place behind us in the league last year, if memory serves, which is more indicative of us and our performance than anything. But so far this year, I mean, they've definitely played some pretty decent football, and the fact that Dom Solanke is still there and scoring is wild to me, because I think a lot of people wrote him off a long time ago. But it's an interesting matchup kind of straight after the international break. They're under new management this year. That controversially, they fired Gary O'Neill in the offseason and have brought in a totally new thought structure and everything like that. So I'll be really interested, Dan, to see kind of how they play on Sunday.
Yeah, I think that we should just maybe start by dispelling the fact that, like, they're really not a true bogey team for Chelsea. Like, there was a stretch in 2019 through 2020 where it was a loss, 4-0 loss, a 1-0 loss, and a 2-2 draw. That was really unfortunate. There was also that wonky 3-0 loss in 2018. But in general, I mean, Chelsea's record, we've won 13 games against Bournemouth, 1 draw, and 5 games lost. One of those losses was in 1988, so let's just couch that one and say it's 4 losses. Like, it's still more losses than you would hope for against a side like Bournemouth, but in general, we've let in goals against them, which is maybe the other kind of concerning factor, like that 2-2, the 4-0, the 1-0. We haven't been able to keep a ton of clean sheets against them in the past couple seasons, so maybe that's more of the concern. Like, we did have a 2-0 win in late December, but to your point you made earlier, like, we did have a 3-1 win against them at the tail end of this past season. So it would be nice to get back to the historical standard of Chelsea winning against Bournemouth and also doing so without letting in a goal as well, which is probably the harder of the two tasks to accomplish.
Yeah, indeed. And I know they are 16th right now, not 18th. Sorry about that earlier. But they are not playing nearly as bad as their contemporaries around them. I will say that. They've had a very interesting start to the season. I think you look at results against Liverpool, who go down a man and somehow just continue to beat them. You look at their draw against West Ham to start the season, the fact they drew Brentford away as well. They advanced to the EFL Cup as against Swansea. Yeah, I mean, sure, they have 2 points in the league, and both of them, are against West Ham and Brentford. But I think they haven't played that bad, to my eye this year. They're not a team that should be taken lightly.
Match against Spurs was unfortunate. It was not a good game for them. The others, they were at least hanging in and around. So let's just look at their narratives. So here's the narrative storylines that we have to consider heading into this. Former Chelsea Academy star Dom Solanke signs a new deal through 2027. That's an odds-on to score. That's going to be a bit of a challenge to go against that curse. They've yet to win. That's always a thing that Chelsea can do a favor for a team on. Hey, you need a win? Charity FC, let's go. You did mention the hard schedule to start, and they have scored in 3 out of the 4 matches that they've played. So again, they are finding ways to get in the score sheet, even if necessarily they're not coming away with all points that they have. So, the refresh, the new ownership, new minority investors, new American minority investors. Like, there's a lot of interesting storylines that you can tie in here that would be like, oh yeah, this does not feel good on the expected narrative.
You forgot one too, that Tyler Adams is playing there, who Chelsea were on the verge of signing, then backed out. He's now at Bournemouth. Not like that's necessarily going to be like a dark mark or anything like that on our resume, but just another one of those interwoven narratives between the two sides that, who knows what'll happen on that front.
First Premier League goal or assist, Tyler Adams, anytime?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Again, smallest ground in the league, right? Not many away fans can make this one. So, I know in the past Chelsea have been incredibly loud and boisterous, the couple hundred fans who were able to get in, but this is it's a weird place to go. It's a weird place to go right after an international break too.
Yeah, you get a little bit of a trip to the seaside, as it were, and pull that one in. But let's talk about Chelsea's narrative. So the things that we have to consider for Chelsea ending this match. We did not enter into the international break in the finest form. We were talking potentially if we could win against Forest that we would go in to the international break chomping at the bit for Chelsea to come back. And I think everybody felt like, oh, it's okay. We enjoyed the time that we had to mentally reset over this international break. I think Chelsea are in desperate need to show up and show out, particularly against teams that you would just think that Chelsea should beat up on. I think that there's questions around who beyond Sterling or Jackson, obviously with, Disasi probably can't be counted on to score a goal every game. But from an attacking perspective, will someone like Chilwell or Palmer get on the score sheet as well, start to balance out the contributions from a goal scoring perspective? And we know that we're still facing and looking down the barrel of injury concerns now with the Lavia knock as well. So I think those were the things that I think with the storylines that we're going to have heading into this match. Are there any that you think you would add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think Jackson is the one that is probably going to have the most pressure on his shoulders in a match like this, right? I wouldn't say that Bournemouth are necessarily like West Ham and that they'll just set up in a block and stay there all game. I think Bournemouth do like to play a little bit more on the front foot than that. But even then, you know, Jackson's had a lot of touches in the box. He's had a lot of you know, he's had some decent service, right? Some not so decent service. But I think he's unfortunately going to be the one that kind of makes or breaks the attack, and someone like Sterling in this case could benefit from the extra attention paid to Jackson or vice versa. So we'll just have to see. But there needs to be a third, right? Those two are right now what we got from a goal scoring perspective. So whether that's Palmer, whether that's Madueke, whether that's Chilwell, whether that's Gallagher, who's shown that he can score a couple of goals, whether that's Enzo, you know, potentially stepping up in a role like that. We need a third goal scorer. We need someone who's going to draw the defense to their side to open up space for someone else to go in at the back post and get an easy header, or someone who's going to open the lane for a cutback to come into the box for an easy kind of slotted home goal like Sterling got against Luton Town. So just kind of thinking about that would be kind of the biggest storyline for me. I don't think the defense has been great this year, but I don't think they've been bad either. I think it's been frustrating. The midfield will get humming, you know, the more time that they get together. I think it's the attack, and that's going to play into why I think the lineup is going to be a wee bit different for me, maybe as we go into our predicted lineups than maybe it has looked so far.
Well, when you talk about predicted lineups, there's a lot of overlap between our two. So I'll let you run with your lineup, and then you can differentiate. You can talk about why you have your differences and what we think the end outcome is going to be. And we'll see, you know, again, leave comments if you're watching on YouTube, or tweet at us, or, Zed at us, whatever it is. I don't know, post at us. Let us know what you're thinking. But Nick, what do you think Pochettino is going to line up with when it comes to the match on Sunday?
Yeah, I think it's going to look a little bit closer to what we saw in preseason. I think it's going to be a Gusto, Silva, Colwill, Chilwell back four. I think Chilwell playing left back again is something that, you know, I think we need for balance purposes in the team. You know, it's been well documented that Colwill, as a stand-in, has done admirably to the start of the season, but really doesn't offer anything in attack from that side outside of the occasional lobbed over pass, which is great. But Chilwell will certainly provide a little bit more balance there. So I kind of expect more of a traditional back four in this one because we got to get some goals. So that leaves me with Enzo and Caicedo in the middle. Got to get used to saying that because that's going to be the future. And then I think some sort of interchangeable front four. So it could be a 4-2-4, it could be a 4-2-3-1, maybe kind of a 4-2-2-2, who knows? Like it could be a weird one, but I think it'll be Gallagher and Palmer kind of maybe playing two number 10s, and then Sterling and Jackson, and I anticipate subs from Mudryk and Madueke as well in a game like this. So that's kind of where I'm going. A little bit more balance up top. I think you, at this point, have to make the risk assessment that, you know, we can defend with who we got, especially if Caicedo's in the team, but we should rely on maybe an extra attacker to help us get across the line.
Yeah, so I think with the international break having occurred right around the same time that the deadline day finished, I just struggle with the idea that Palmer is going to slot in starting for the team. I could be absolutely 1,000% wrong. And if Sunday, the hour before the match, the lineups come out and Palmer starts, I wouldn't be shocked. I just don't think that falls in line with the way that we've seen Pochettino work players into the team. Palmer was away on international duty, hasn't had that time necessarily to acclimatize. I think that this will be a copy and paste lineup from the last match. So you have Sanchez, Gusto, Disasi, Silva, Colwell, move forward, Caicedo, Enzo, Gallagher, benefiting from the fact that all of those guys look really good right now, particularly with Caicedo being back into fitness. And then I think it's going to be Sterling, Jackson, and Chilwell. I struggle to see, even though I think Chilwell has received a lot of criticism. Again, I think there's a lot of pointing fingers right now. There's a lot of pointing fingers at, like, this doesn't work, this isn't good, this is what's going on. The interesting thing to me is when you just step back and say, like, if you look at the whole of all of our performances, so XG Philosophy puts out this chart that effectively is like your expected points, right? And again, we are who we are. The points that we have on the board are the points that we have. So we've got 4 points. If you just take out the luck-based element of it, which I think has played, or the individual error component of it, Chelsea should be level with Arsenal and Brentford, tied effectively for second place behind and 2 points behind City on 8 points. So I don't think we are as bad as people want to make it out. I think it's easy to point fingers at this Chelsea side right now and say, oh, they're the incomplete article, or they're not performing to the level, or there's all this investment. Like, yeah, just because you invested a ton of money doesn't mean it automatically, like, this isn't Wall Street Bets, right? Like, it's not going to, like, double or triple or quadruple every couple days, and you diamond hands it to the end. Like, this is a scenario where, like, it is it's a long term. This is like the 401k or the, like, index fund type of experience. Like, you're looking for compound on compound interest.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting that, I mean, these expected points is just kind of a coulda, shoulda, woulda to me. And I understand the value of these charts, but it's part of the reason why I think that, against a team like Bournemouth, a team that you should be beating, experimenting with, some of the resources at your disposal and potentially not being so defensive is critical. Of course, Chelsea would like a clean sheet, but what we really need this team to do is score goals, because I think once Chelsea score goals, it becomes a lot easier for the team to get that defensive record where they want it to. But when you're so reliant on Gusto to bomb forward and provide that extra service from the right-hand side, or you're so reliant upon an over-the-top ball from Colwell to try and break a defense, I think it takes their eye off the ball defensively, right? And in this way, it kind of restores a little bit of balance, and at least in my hypothetical scenario, it restores a little bit of balance to the team, knowing that Chilwell and Gusto can both do that, but giving a little bit more of a nod to our attack to interchange. And that's why I don't know if it'll be like a strict 4-2-3-1, but could be kind of a fun little kind of swaps between, Gallagher and, wherever he plays versus wherever, in my estimation, that someone like Palmer could play, who said that he can basically play anywhere across the middle three, right, which is right wing, left wing, or a number 10. We've seen him at left for City. I think that was just due to a personnel gap. And we've seen him on the right for England. We've seen him play number 10 for England. So lots going on there, but a very interesting kind of thought exercise to get going here. The other option would be Madueke, right, who is a tricky player, I think, who started this season a little bit injured, but is kind of coming into form. Wouldn't shock me to see either one of those.
You're saying either one of those to start?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Interesting.
I truly believe, I believe we need something else. Like what is started this season, while the expected points look great and while the coulda, shoulda, wouldas are high, it's not the reality of the situation. The reality of the situation is that we have not scored enough goals to win matches that we should have won. And that's against Liverpool. That's certainly against Forest, and you could argue that we should have done better against West Ham as well. And so, my bias would be towards goal scoring and getting this team running offensively really well. I wouldn't mind winning games 4-3 at this point of the season, because I think the defense will take care of itself once the offense is scoring. But we can't go through another season where we score 38 league goals in 38 league games. You just can't win games that way.
Yeah, please no. I think if you're hedging on this, Madueke has appeared in 3 matches so far, including the League Cup. So he got 80 minutes against Wimbledon, he got 16 minutes as a sub against West Ham, and then he got 29 minutes against Forest. So I don't necessarily know if he's starter in Poch's playbook at this moment. Maybe you saw a little bit more from Palmer. The shot he took in the last match against Forest makes you feel a little bit better putting him in. Like, I guess if coin flip, if you're like, hey, you have to start one of them, gosh, probably Palmer. But I still don't think it's going to happen. Again, I'm happy to be wrong. I'm happy to be surprised by Pochettino doing something that I think is atypical, but I think he is more pragmatic than we want to give him credit for. And I think he's going to go for what he believes to be his safer lineup, in opposition of like the fan belief that we need to replace Chilwell. When ultimately in the last match against Forest, when you take off Chilwell, the left side of the attack actually got worse.
Yeah. But you're already down at that point. You're already having to press at that point. So whatever happens at that point is in service of getting a goal. Maybe you're right. I would be extremely disappointed to see the kind of same kind of hammer and nail philosophy rolled out for this one. But again, in either scenario, we have enough talent on the field to beat Bournemouth. It's whether the players are ready post international break to compete in the Premier League again, because it's going to be a lot of these stop and starts this year, as we've illustrated. We have another international break in October coming up, right? So they coming back from these breaks is hard enough, especially when you have to do it every other month, it feels like.
All right, and we're going to round out this episode with a little bit of a confidence metric. How confident are you, Nick, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being no confidence whatsoever, 10 being full body of confidence that Chelsea can get the business done?
Let's give it a 7.
See, I was right there with you. I was a solid 7. I think, confident enough, some question marks, but ultimately there's enough talent, there's enough individual goodness in this team that you should be able to manufacture the result that you're looking for and get the positive vibes going once again, get Aura FC reignited.
Yeah, God, you'd hope so. I could easily see this game going a lot of different directions. I could easily see Chelsea with a 3-0 win. I could easily see it being a scrappy draw, and I could easily see another Forest happening. So let's hope for the 3-0 win.
Well, that's going to do it for this episode. So let us know your thoughts. Leave comments on YouTube. Zed at us. Send us an email. I don't know. Find another way to get in contact with us if you want to talk to us. Join our Patreon and get in the Discord. It's a great way to chat with us. But we will be back after this weekend's match, which is hopefully a win against Bournemouth, to celebrate with you all on Monday. But until next time, Chelsea fans, you know what to do. Have a great weekend and keep the blue flag flying high.